Hello and welcome to History 4000. This is the History Research Methods class for the spring 2026 semester. I'm the professor for the class. This is Dr. McDonald. So in this brief, I promise it will be brief, video, we're going to go over essentially the course syllabus and the expectations. Treat this video the same way we would if all of us were in a classroom and just kind of covering the syllabus and some of the things you need to be familiar with going forward. So we'll be clicking between here, the Moodle shell, and the syllabus, which is obviously going to be linked right here in Moodle. We'll take a look at and make you aware of the research resources that we have as you start your project, which is a 12 to 15 page original research paper on a topic that you will choose and I will approve. We have, as we get a little further into the semester, a list of banned topics. Not so much because I have anything against the topic, it's just they've been done and overdone. And for the most part, they're just simply too broad. Your kind of default position on this paper is, oh my gosh, it's got to be a hugely significant and also very big topic because I have to write a whopping 12 to 15 pages. But trust me, you're going to be able to narrow down your focus a lot. You have to. And when we submit the paper topic, we'll work together on how to do that. So what we're looking at now, and I'm not going to click on them, are some of the LibGuides, the guides to the archives. During the early weeks of the semester, you're going to have a mandatory research consultation with either Miss Anna at the library or Miss Donna if you want to do a Louisiana themed topic. And you chat with one of them to basically help you not with choosing a topic, but with figuring out what resources you need to use and where to get your information. So starting out, we have in the beginning, and you need to keep in mind that during the course of the semester, what happens is we build assignments. So your smaller assignments are getting to the large writing, which is your academic book review, an outline with a thesis statement, a preliminary or rough draft, and then the final draft, all of which I give feedback on. And the different assignments that you have, I'll also link sample assignments so you can see how a completed version of each of those looks. And the other resource you have is your textbook, which I didn't link anything to it here because essentially you would have gotten an email because it is an ebook. And we'll go to the syllabus right now. There we go. Okay, I'm on campus, but most of you, I'm guessing, will choose to email me to communicate. Just make sure you spell my name M-A-C. It's MacDonald J. If you need to meet with me, please, in person, we can do that as well, or through a telephone conversation, or through a video conference conversation. During the course of the semester, what I do is place, I call them tutorial videos, on the different assignments. So everything from how to pick your topic and how to narrow down your focus, all the way down to going over an outline for a book review, note-taking, the rough draft, the thesis and outline. So this class, as much as I can, I'm trying to make it like an in-person, face-to-face class. And so with this class or the internship class, this is kind of what we consider our department's capstone class. It's for advanced students who are in their junior, possibly senior year last semester. So there's an expectation that the work is demanding, but many of you are coming from History 3000, which is the prerequisite, and a lot of the skill sets that you learned in that class with Dr. Pellegrin, you will be reusing today. Going forward, citations, documentation, bibliography. So I hope you didn't forget all of those. But if you did, as I mentioned before, the textbook actually has the methods by which you can use those assignments and with samples, right? With different examples that are out there. There's actually in our textbook a sample research paper complete with documentation. So the student learning outcomes are all here. We're going to be using the Chicago Manual of Style. If you don't have it, it's okay because it's in our textbook. That's why the book is not only useful for the reading, and I know the reading assignments, you're like, why am I doing reading when I have to do research? But the reading that I link is connected to each assignment. So when you see that in Moodle, when you see it in the syllabus, don't overlook it. Look at the assignments in the textbook. They're brief, not like you're going to have to read the whole book cover to cover. But more importantly, in the back of the book, you have the citation method for doing a newspaper, an internet site, a primary source document, secondary source, which is most of what you have are going to be using secondary sources. Okay. There's the book. It's the Jules Benjamin Student's Guide to History. The assignments are building towards the research paper. So we have a statement of topic, the bibliography of your sources, and a thesis and a paper outline. Those constitute the short written assignments. You have a research consultation. You not only have to do it, and it has to be verified by the individual at the library that you're talking to. Miss Anna is the director of research, meaning that she is going to put you in touch with a different electronic end at the library resources, along with her. And Miss Debbie, who works in collections and the interlibrary loan office as well, along with the archive. So that's all there. And this is what you can use to get your paper going. You're probably going to lean heavily on electronic sources, but you can and should be using mostly books, monographs they're called, secondary sources on your topic. If you can't get it at our library, Miss Jackie in Interlibrary Loan is fantastic at getting books. You have an ILL or Interlibrary Loan account, which you have off of MyMSU and the library site. So just because it's not at Watson Library doesn't mean you shouldn't go to use it. The third major assignment is the book review. So that's going to be a scholarly review. And what I want you to do, and this is kind of negotiating two parts of the course, you're going to be critiquing, and you're going to be not a book report, but a book review, a scholarly book review. And again, there'll be a sample of one, and there'll be the do's and don'ts of a book review. You're going to review a book that's on your bibliography. So now you get to read an entire book, a secondary source that you're going to be using for your research, and also review it. So that helps you two ways there, both with the research and both completing an assignment. You're also going to have a couple of reflection assignments. The first is in the early week, your expectations, maybe your concerns, fears, anxieties, and I will address them as far as how to do the research and the task in front of you, which is this, again, original research paper. So what I've typically done is taken all of those different reflection assignments and then come back and done another video tutorial where I've kind of taken your concerns and addressed them. And I hope that turns out to be helpful. Of course, the other part is the research project. It's a 15-page, 12 to 15-page, plus your bibliography. So the body of the paper needs to be 12 to 15 pages based on primary and secondary sources. Students are expected to use 10 to 15 secondary sources, and we'll discuss the difference. I hope you know them, but if you don't, that's okay. Books and articles that are written by historians are secondary sources. Primary sources are written at the time. The papers of Frederick Douglass would be obviously a primary source because they were written by that individual. A biography on Frederick Douglass, written by a 20th or 21st century historian, is a secondary source. I have a rule as far as the research goes. At least 60% of your secondary sources should be from books. What I've found recently teaching this class is we get really, really article happy, as I call it, with the assignments. So as far as the assignments attaching to the bibliography, that's okay, but they're articles and they don't go as in depth. And you can use articles, absolutely, but you're going to be surprised to find that you'll be able to pick up actual physical books and use them that way. And we'll talk about how that is done. Assignments are going to be submitted in Moodle as long as they're there on the due date, 11:59 p.m. Again, I'm pretty not super strict about what time of day, but when they're due, they are due. So the due dates you need to keep in mind. The evaluation, this is basically your grade. So you can look at this on your own. The paper is worth 40% the final draft. So these are weighted grades. So if you look at your grade book and you either panic or are really happy about your grade, keep in mind that your library research consultation that you get 100 on is only 5% of your grade, and the paper is 40%. Okay, you'll also need to take in the course of the semester the capstone exam. It is not graded as part of your grade. It's simply required. It's for our own evaluation, for accreditation that the university has to do. It's required, and so we'll get that up towards the end of the semester and give you a couple weeks to complete it. It's just some short multiple choice questions on the different intro classes that you've had, 1010, 1020. If again, it doesn't matter if you pass, fail, whatever. There is no pass, fail. There's just essentially how many questions people are getting right, and we have to submit those findings. Okay, week one, you can see all the assignments are here. Where you go, obviously, to complete the assignments is Moodle. So just looking at the first weeks, you've got a reflection assignment. You've got some reading and to watch the first tutorial. And the paper topics are going to be due in 2 weeks from the start of our class on the 12th. So to get all of that done, you go to Moodle. Week one, we've got the reflection assignment. Here is the instructions for it. Please take these seriously. Again, I can't kind of address what concerns you're having unless you say it in the reflection assignment. It's a good way to have a back and forth that way. Week two, the tutorials are linked here. They're going to take you to a YouTube page. There's also an outline that goes along. Usually when I talk, the outline will be up, and then I'll be recording with some PowerPoint slides and with the outline as well. And so you'll be able to see those. I'll react to the reflection assignments once we get those from you at the end of the first week. Week three, you have just simple Dropbox for the paper topic, and I'll make comments on that like no, or let's narrow it down. We'll also have what we want you to do with the research consultation assignment. It's not due that week, it's due later, but here is the essential assignment for you to get started on. So you've got some reading, and some of it repeats itself because it applies more than once. And then you've got the tutorials when we get into week four, tutorials on research strategy and then how to draft the bibliography. The bibliography is different than your works cited as far as footnotes or endnotes, but we'll get into all of those details as we go forward. So you need citations in the paper or at the end of the paper, those are endnotes, but you also need a bibliography. And that's a separate, and the way you arrange those is different. So we'll cover that. You should have learned that already, but this will be something of a refresher. Okay, essentially that's it. I promised I would keep this as a short video. If you have any questions, concerns, or other issues that you need, please don't hesitate to email me, or if you want to meet in person, I am on campus Monday, Wednesday, and Friday before my 11 o'clock class. Otherwise, have a good semester. Get started and starting basically to think about your research area of interest and specifically your research topic.